everybody, I am Reagan, aka Edobaka, and we all know who this is. Introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm Brina Palencia.
And what I am doing for you guys is basically, these are going to be fan questions. So these are what the fans, you guys, I've looked at some polls and everybody wants. These are the top ones, supposedly.
The ones that are allowed.
Yeah, the ones that are allowed. There's a whole nother list that we're not going to go there. All right, sweetheart. So, what is the prep work for starting a new character? Do you do any research for your character so that you can get into the emotion or actually get in depth with, in tune with the character?
It really depends on the character, and it also depends on the director, because some directors don't want you to know a whole lot about the character and what's going to happen.
Really? I didn't know that.
For example, Rei Ayanami for Evangelion, I had never actually seen the original TV series of it at all.
Oh, okay.
And so, and Mike McFarlane told me to not watch it because he wanted it to be a totally different thing, you know what I mean? And so he didn't want me to be influenced by the original stuff. So he said, so I just, am sort of in his hands whenever we record for the movies. I just do whatever he tells me.
Wow, okay. So it's kind of like you learn
about
the character while you're doing it?
Exactly. But then there are also other characters that I just feel more comfortable knowing more of the background. Like I did a lot of research on Black Butler for CL, and I also do a lot of research for shows just in general whenever I am auditioning for them. So I tend to know a lot about the show before I ever even go in.
Okay.
But another thing that I do once I get a role to help me get back into the emotional state of that character, I said this on a panel yesterday, but I really love Michael Chekhov, the Michael Chekhov technique, the acting technique, and it's very physical, which is interesting that it helps you a lot with your voice acting, since it's all physical and it's not really about the voice.
Remember that?
Yeah.
That's good advice.
Yeah, so one thing that he always talks about is having a center for your character, and so I will develop a center. You think of like the shape of it and what it's made out of, and it's very abstract, but you think of like the texture of it and where it's placed in your body. Like most of them are placed, in sort of your heart center. I know that's not technically where your heart is, but your heart center, and then but if they're a little bit crazy, like Tamama, for example, he's a little crazy and wacky, so his is like sort of off on my shoulder.
Yeah.
So he's just a little bit off. So those tend to help me a lot as far as remembering exactly where the character felt,
That's what separates you, though, because a lot of the voice actors, everybody likes Japanese, watching it in Japanese,
right,
because the English doesn't get into it, their character.
Right.
And you're actually one of the most popular ones with our fans that, they really like your characters. They actually feel like it's a real character. It's
I do try to take it very seriously. I approach it just as intensely as I would any of my film roles or my stage roles. I feel like, and I feel like with anime it's such a great opportunity versus a lot of other types of animation, because in anime, it really is, adult themes. It's very deep. CL is one of the most complicated characters I've ever played,
Yeah, I watched it.
In anything, not just anime. And so you don't get that opportunity a lot. So it's fun as an actor to be able to dive into their head, and figure out who they are.
Well, speaking of characters, actually, what kind of, the archetype of character do you enjoy the most? Like, do you like lead roles? Or do you enjoy playing like an older woman versus a younger woman? Do you like a humanoid type character? What was more fun for you?
Well, for me, the thing that is fun for me is being stretched as an actor. So I actually like playing everything. I like being able to play, messed up little British boy, and then later that day be able to play a psychotic frog. It's really fun for me to be able to do all different types of archetypes. So the one archetype that I haven't really done a whole lot of is the sultry woman, because anytime I go lower in my voice, it always sounds like a boy. But I did get to play, like in Mad Moxie and Borderlands is the closest I've ever come to being able to do that, which I was shocked that I even ever got cast as her because I never do that character.
Oh,
so
okay.
Hopefully now that I'm growing up and getting older, I'll get to do more sultry roles.
You hear that, boys? She wants a very...
Oh God, am I fogging up the
sultry.
camera? I'm sorry.
She wants sultry. Well, I most certainly would love to hear that.
Though I will say, in any regard, there is no one archetype that I would like to stay in. I don't ever want to
That's
get typecast. I want to always be able to
Exactly.
do a different variety of characters because I love acting and I love being challenged and I love, having that wide array of emotion that I have to portray all the time.
That is great. All right. So when it comes to, since you do a wide variety of different characters, well, what's most challenging to you on having to do different voices?
For me, it's very challenging when I have different characters in the same register, like Chopper in One Piece and Tamamon and Sergeant Frog. They're in the same register, but to me they're very different emotionally, which is where having that center kind of helps. And then also, whenever I have characters like that, I always try to make sure that I never do them in the same day because they'll sort of color each other. You know what I mean? So in general, I
like
try
meshing with each
Yeah,
other
yeah.
on accident.
Yeah, so I always try to make sure to, if I can, only do one character a day. But sometimes, they have deadlines that they have to meet. In that case, I try to at least make sure that they're not similar characters, that they're very different,
Got it. So I figured that would probably be very difficult if you're having to do multiple characters a day because you're sitting there and you're like, just same voice for the other one.
Yeah, actually,
Do it again.
whenever I was doing Ciel, at the same time I had to audition for Gare Zero.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so I was playing a boy in that one, but he didn't have a British accent. And whenever I auditioned for him, I was like, I don't know how to do this voice without a British accent. And so luckily, when we actually recorded it, it was whenever I was done with the first season of Black Butler, so I was kind of taking a break. So it was a little bit easier for me. But it did take a while to get out of that British accent. Anytime I would go down the hill, it would immediately turn British. Like it was just really hard.
He's trying so hard not to laugh.
Cracking up right there.
Go on ahead, say it.
Thank you. I needed to get that out.
The camera might break or something if I didn't let him laugh. Because he's so drunk. All right. And, okay. Now, I know that people have always asked you what's your favorite character to play. But what the fans would like to know is, what do you think, out of all the characters you've played, is their favorite?
I will say, I feel like Rei Ayanami is the most famous character that I've ever played, but I feel like there's just, there's a lot of us that have voiced her, so I feel like it's not necessarily me that they're a fan of, they're just a fan of that character. But honestly, I think the most positive response that I've gotten would have to be either Holo in Spice and Wolf or Ciel in Black Butler. I think those two are a little bit more definitive. People say they like me specifically as that character and not necessarily, just the character on their own.
Great roles too. I mean, they're selling like hotcakes.
Yes, thank you.
They are.
And they're just so much fun, and they're so different from a lot of, other characters.
Standard characters.
Yeah.
More original stories too.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you guys haven't seen that, you really need to check both of those out.
Yeah.
Black Butler is a little bit of the messed up side, so that's probably going to be one of our top favorites that we'll play.
Let them be surprised.
Yeah. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. And the fans themselves appreciate it the most. So, is there anything else you'd like to say for them?
I love you guys, and thank you for watching my stuff. And follow me on Facebook and Twitter, and be sure to like the Heal by Rain Facebook page.